Hello, if we're here so far, come on in. You can unmute yourselves.
Hi, Amaris. It's Mary Jo.
Hi.
Peggy can't be on. She asked me, do you record these things?
Yes,
Okay, great. And then, is there a regular schedule for these?
there isn't a regular schedule. We have just been kind of doing them on the fly weekly.
Okay, so just keep checking the Gmail.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I will be making an announcement about our next one. I'm going to be cutting them down to bi-monthly, at least just for a time. And we may be able to pick those back up weekly, but we will always have some office hour
So you
session.
said bi-monthly. Did you mean semi-monthly? You meant bi-weekly?
It would be, instead of having them every week, we'd have them every other week.
So it's bi-weekly. Because you said bi-monthly, but you meant semi-monthly.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Or bi-weekly. That's why I made that face, bi-monthly. Thank you. And I haven't had any more of those weird Russian bot emails that I was getting, that I emailed you about 4 different ones. And I don't know.
I will
know
say,
why. I'm glad, but
yeah, I will say that for those, they are pesky ones that even we deal with here at the State League. And we can always try to block specific IP addresses or specific email addresses, but what they are, they as the people who are sending these messages are very good at is changing those and using different ones. So we are going to be upping our security with AWS, and so we're hoping that within those updates and upgrades will be kind of a wall or better security to prevent these in the first place. Because right now, the only thing that we can do, there's nothing preventative that we can do further that we've already put on the web forms. But anytime that you receive weird looking emails from support at lwvc.org, just delete those. It's best to just...
How would I know it was coming from you, or
well,
would it ever come that way? Never would support. It would say MyLO, probably.
It does say support at LWVC. Let's see if I can find one as an example here in my inbox. As the sender, it would be support at lwvc.org, but within the body of the email, so within the message, that's where it says, you know, whatever the actual person's email address is.
.ru. That's what I've been getting, you know, so oh my God, I'm getting things from Russia.
Yeah, and I had gone through that in our office, and our tech people just told me, you know, they could compile a list of IP addresses and email addresses, and I've gotten those from the emails you've forwarded, Mary Jo. So aside from that, deleting is the best thing.
Okay.
Yeah, you can delete them from your inbox, and then also you can also delete them from your results tab.
My results tab?
Let me go ahead and
you mean
masquerade is here.
Yeah. You mean within our website? Is that how we're getting them?
Yes, and these are web form submissions. Just any web form that you have that you're accepting a submission for and that you've set up emails for. This is what we're talking about, the messages that get sent out. So we have the contact form, and this is, I believe, the form that you had gotten those messages from.
Okay.
And through the web form,
so click, while you're there, you
click over to emails.
Click results and see.
Yeah.
Click results and see if there's anything there. Are you in as an official?
I'm in masquerading as you, but just to show everyone else the setting that the this is to send that email that you're receiving. And let's jump over to the results. Like you said, you would have to click through to the individual ones, or if you already knew either the number or if you recognize the
Oh my
date
gosh,
of
look at all
submission,
those. Oh my God.
then you
I don't
could
know what all
delete
those
them.
are.
And
Okay.
if you know that none of these are
I don't know offhand.
valid, or if you don't even use this list, you could just clear the results entirely. That's an option.
Oh, okay. I'll just do that. Thank you. Thank you.
And even still, if you download and clear, you have both there if you wanted to keep this information somewhere else.
Yeah. I'll put, because I'm just doing it the first time, I'll probably kind of look at them and get a flavor for what kinds of things are in there anyway. And then delete them.
I'm going to see.
I actually had
yeah.
a question relevant to where you are.
Definitely.
With the web form, because I have the contact
It's
us.
a little hard to hear you, Karen.
I have the contact us. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I think maybe I just need to turn this thing up a little bit. Is that better? Is that better?
There we go.
That was, but keep it there. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a contact us form, and whenever somebody contacts us, they can get I think I have it set to give them a copy of what they sent, right? So they give their email and then they get a copy of it. But it looks like it comes from your site, not my email address. And I wanted to change that. Like it came from MyLO, or what is it? Not, what is your,
the support
system
at
email address.
lwvc.org.
Yes, yeah, and I didn't want that, and I was wondering how to change that.
We do have a setting, well, I can show it here. From the emails, if you edit the entry that you have already, there's within the email header details a way to customize. Have you tried this option before? Try that out and see if that changes the sender address. And if not, let us know.
Okay.
And there's also, like with any of these options, the email to address, the email subject, and the email from, you always have a component that you can choose from, but this is just dependent on the components that you added to the form here.
Okay, I'll play around with it.
Oh, Liz, you're muted.
Okay, it looks like there's some functionality here that's available that I used to use to avoid getting these forms sent to me, and it's the hidden form element, because if it's a bot, it will fill in, it will see these things, but if it's a human, they won't see the form item. And then so is that actually what's here that we could be taking advantage of? And
it is, yeah, it is essentially that added. With any form, with any web form, there is already that kind of built in, rather than having to build this. We added this on top, but the spam protections are added just automatically to the forms, and the CAPTCHA is something required for any general public user. So as long as they're not logged in, they have to answer to that CAPTCHA. So there's those two ways, and then this is just kind of added on top. This is almost the same functionality of the spam protection that we have on the form already, but adding it here as a form component was a way of allowing the recipient to see it within the email message. So let me show you what the email looks like that Mary Jo receives. So if their form looks like this, like you said, we have that top form component hidden. Let's check out what the body of the message would be. And we are using tokens within the message, so some of those values aren't in there. But the most important part here is this kind of warning section. It just would place the message of that human check, leave this field empty. So if a bot got past our automatic spam protection and got past the CAPTCHA, then they would fill this out, because bots would fill out every field that is, you know, empty. So if they've gotten past those first two steps, then this is kind of the final step. But so far, Mary Jo, you're one of the leagues that I've added this to. Another league, Coos County, had requested the same thing, and between both, we haven't seen any value added here. So no submission or no bot has answered to that yet. So it's been at least proof that it's working so far, that they are pesky live submissions. But that if you wanted to use that.
So they aren't bots.
Right. They are not.
They are not bots, the one that she's getting.
Right.
So yeah, but we may be protected by a lot of other ones that have been caught.
Right. I mean, yeah, between what's already in there and then if you wanted to add that on top of it, or even no need to have to update your email, you could just go through adding the form component, because you'll always have the full results visible here. But it is definitely not a necessary form component to have.
But Mary Jo was freaking out.
But if that increases,
yeah, we can hear you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, if that increases our safety, then why shouldn't we put that little div component at the top? Why not?
It probably, yeah, there is really no reason why not. It's beneficial, and you don't have to have it, you know, with all of this formatting. You could simply just type in whatever the message is, but as long as you have some kind of explanation as to, you know, what to do if something shows up here, then, you know, that however you put that in will work. That will just make it easy for you to see immediately if something is in between there, then
can you put that code in the chat window?
Yeah.
The chat window? Because I'd like to copy that.
Let's throw that in here. Whoops.
And then I also wanted to say that I have changed the reply from field. I checked, I did change it, but the email that is sent to Webmaster in this case still says that it's from, it's jobst.us, and it still says from My League Online Support at LWB NPC. The reply to is changed to my custom email address, but it still says that it's from lwbc.org. So I can take a screenshot and show it to you.
And let me ask you this: the reply to address, is that the same email address that you have set up as a recipient within your emails tab? Okay. Okay. So then,
yeah,
job dot.
the reply to is right, I guess.
Okay. Okay. So then I can definitely make a ticket for our tech team to look into that. And that was the email from. I just want to make a note of it before we move on.
But it looks like she should be able to change it though, right? Because it says default, but then it's got custom.
Definitely. It should be an option.
I did.
Um,
I
and
did.
yeah, she
I
tested it
did
out
change it.
properly.
Yeah, right, yeah. So ours at Dearborn must be the default. But I don't know because I don't use it, myself.
Yeah, this is I'm actually using your league's
Yeah.
contact form, and it is just set to the default.
Huh.
But
Yeah.
while we're on this of the support email, if people are ever having trouble receiving them, the best way is for anybody who's going to be a recipient to add that as a contact. So adding that as an instruction in the form or as like part of the draft itself of the page, that will help you probably as the leaders of the league to receive the confirmations, but then also any general public user who is expecting a confirmation copy.
So
Can-
the way that works, that little div class alert warning thing,
Mhm.
Only the webmaster will see that?
Yes, just because of the way that the email setting is set right now. That recipient is only going to be info@lwvddh.org. And so that is the only person to receive that message.
Well, depending if it's goes to multiple people. It
Oh,
might
right.
be
Yeah. And that would,
more
yeah,
Yeah, ours
generic
is
email.
generic.
that would be up to the league on that end. But yeah, I don't know if you have other questions about forms or we can go through.
I want to just can we finish up on this hidden field?
Yeah,
Now,
definitely.
I didn't quite follow all of it. So
Okay.
I have forms. Do I now need to go in and add this hidden form, hidden field?
You definitely don't need to, because there's two things at play automatically with web forms. One is essentially like this hidden form component. It is a hidden form component attached to every web form by the MyLO system that catches a bot if they submit that answer. If there is a submission with that field filled out, then the system just rejects that submission. So we don't even get to see those submissions.
Oh, perfect.
And then on top, the
So all of
CAPTCHA
our
would get anybody past that.
So all our forms already have this in it.
Mm-hmm.
Even forms we
Essentially,
made
yes.
a few years ago.
It just doesn't. It won't have this form component here in the line, but it does have the function. The web form has the functionality attached to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Before we move on, do we have any more questions about any part of the web form?
I just wanted to make sure you saw in the chat box, I put the header that I got when I have me coded in my I just went into a different browser and I clicked the contact us and I said contact the webmaster and I said some junk email, which comes to me, which is karen@owenta.com. And then I got the email and I just pasted in the chat box so you could see what the header looks like.
And the reply to was that?
That's correct.
And that was the one that is set to be the email recipient? Okay. And
yeah, within our league, when somebody tries to contact the webmaster, it goes, I think.
Okay. And the two line, with the two line where it's karen@onta.com, is that?
That's the person who submitted the
okay.
us, which is my personal email address. I just did it to test it. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Just for test.
Okay. I can save that information. Thank you, because then we always say the more information we can just throw at our tech team sometimes, it may feel random, but they can piece together some things that feel very random to us sometimes. All right, thank you. So any other questions about web forms, or I can, while we're on the theme of web forms, I can go through maybe building one up or using conditionals or something like that?
Well, so Mary Jo, you know where I am, so I have to figure out how to do an event because Peggy's been doing a few things, but there's so much going on, and I feel like, oh my God, I got to get some stuff on this website, and so I guess I have to look at some of those training things, but you know.
Well, I could go through adding an event unless anybody.
Or maybe it'd be more of a news article, because like if you wanted to put like, okay, here's a great site to go to, you know, for blah blah, and I don't know if I should have that under voter stuff or, you know, under news. I think right now it should just be news. I don't know.
Okay, kind of a question
I think
of
it would be more articles.
What not the subject, but at least where it would fall into your site, like within the hierarchy of your menu, or where it should live.
Well, I'm just thinking we got to people needed, you know, to know some stuff about voting, and we do have a voting thing by itself. I suppose we could start a page or something. I don't know. It looks like some people just put a lot of stuff on their news page, and I mean, I don't know.
No, I feel, Mary Jo, I feel the same way. I'd like to have something up there that just kind of gives details about voting and deadline and the supervisor of elections and just basically voting stuff. And maybe there's a template page we can use, but I agree. I'd like to have one place to put all that stuff because it's
All
very
timely.
pertinent right now.
Yeah.
Well, we have a whole menu with voting with lots of different pages you can go to, but maybe Amaris has a really good website that could give you guidelines, because we have a lot of colleagues who've made these websites that might, well, so if you look under my voting one, I have a lot of information of it underneath that.
Awesome. Yeah, let me just click onto voting. Yeah, and this is the same kind of setup, Mary Jo, that your league has, as far as
that's
the
interesting.
top menu.
She's got top buttons, but then under each of those top buttons, she's got that whole side menu.
And that's just built into the top menu design. Anybody or any league that has the top menu will have this kind of mini menu on the side. Yeah, as long as there are children links.
As long as what?
As long as there are the child links. So as long as it has that little caret, that means it has links underneath it, and it's going to form.
That.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Wow, I never knew that. Wow. Where is that? Wheaton, Illinois.
Wheaton?
Yeah, and that and also
this west of Chicago.
Let's see. If you wanted to visit it, that's the homepage URL. But then also your domain or your vanity URL is wheatonillwv.org or
wheatonlwvil.org.
wheatonlwvil.org.
It's kind of left over from when we had our stuff under the state league.
Oh, I see.
So.
Awesome. Thanks. And then I'll jump over to Karen's question.
That was way before MyLO.
Yeah, most everything is way before MyLO. It is a baby in league terms for sure. Karen has a question on the left side panel. I'd like to switch to put Twitter on top, and rather than the Facebook link, I'd like to have the Facebook feed below the Twitter feed. Awesome. Okay, let's jump to that on the demo league. For this site, let's see, I think I might have a feed. Okay, no, I don't have a feed already in there. Whether or not you have a Twitter feed or a Facebook feed already added to your sidebar, it'll be kind of the same steps. So we got to reach the sidebar first. So we'll make a new draft of our home page. And scrolling down, I'll expand the sidebar content. This right here, just because I can tell, is the Vote for 1-1 widget. If you ever needed to check it out and see what it was, swap it really quick to WYSIWYG, but always remember to swap it back. And then from here, and this here is something separate, that's not visible. I believe it is a Google tag manager that I was testing out. So I can add it down here anywhere under these additional, third-party embed code boxes that I can add. And I'm going to replace this with the embed code that I'm going to generate. I'm going to find the documentation that we have on this. And you can usually, this is what I always do to find documentation. I just Google the terms with the word MyLO. Our documentation pages should be, pretty visible. So you should be able to find them pretty easily. Let's see, I think it's this one. No, this is a separate one. Sorry. Let's try that again because I think I saw. Here we go. Social media widgets is the documentation that I'm trying to look for. This one is specific to Facebook and Twitter timelines, but it's the same kind of general steps for any type of embed code that you need to put into your site. So first, let's open up the Facebook. Oops, I clicked on the league, the National League of Women Voters Facebook page on accident.
Amaris,
Yes.
can I say something?
Mm-hmm.
So I already know how to embed the Twitter feed. I did that already, but it's below the Facebook link. And I wanted to make the Facebook link or Facebook embed code below the Twitter code. I can't get rid of that social media icon for Facebook. That was my question. I just want to change the order.
It might be better if I masquerade as you, so I see how those pieces are arranged on in your sidebar. So let me log in and masquerade. Because it could just be a copying and pasting. It should be something easy that we can do here. All right. So this was the, okay, before I jump in. Okay, so it's the Twitter feed that you'd like above the Facebook button. Okay. So let's get in that new draft and check out the sidebar. Okay, so it does look like the Facebook button. So I'm going to swap this to WYSIWYG so we can see what's here. All right, so because the Facebook button is in this sidebar content box, we can't rearrange it like these. So in this case, it is copying and pasting. So with both of them set to full HTML, use with care, you'll copy or cut, and at the very top of the box, paste that in. And we can test that out if we actually, sorry, with the embed code. we won't mess around with that. Sorry, I'm going to start that over. Just reload the page because I don't want to have affected the embed code by having to, or by switching to WYSIWYG like I did right now. So I'll leave those all as full HTML and do the same steps. Cut and paste. And you can remove the box. All it will add is maybe one extra line of space if you left it there. But once we remove that, and am I fine to publish that?
How can you look at it before you publish it?
For the sidebar,
You
essentially.
save it for
Oh,
just save it and then you just look at it or somehow?
Well, any changes that you make here, you do have to publish them to see them
Okay,
afterwards.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and publish and save. All right. So there we have it. And you can tweak the length of it if you wanted. That would just mean going back in and finding the spot where it says height. Let's actually do that. Just going back to the same exact spot, we have data height, and you would just edit the number between the quotation marks.
Huh.
But there we go. Awesome.
So then what do you do so you know, now you've looked at it, it's ready to go. How do you?
Because we published it, that it is now ready to go. Mm-hmm. No,
Okay,
no
so
further thing needed to be done.
So say you didn't like it. That's why I was trying to figure out how you can
see.
edit it and then play around with it and see what it looks like. But you're saying you have to publish it first.
You do, and let's say if let's say we got to this point after we published it just to see what it looked like and we weren't happy, we can either make a new draft and apply different changes, or you can delete the or unpublish that latest revision. So that would kind of revert it back to.
But what if you? But I'm just thinking you like part of it, but you want to change, you know, just some of it, you know, like to be like in some kind of edit mode or something to the old one.
Well, if you leave it in draft mode, the only changes that you will see visible will be those that are under the title. So everything from here to here, because then the end point is whatever is promoted to the front page. That's separate. So anything that you have from under the title to above the first promoted item, that within, if you leave your changes within draft mode, you'll see the changes that are made there. It might be easier if I show this rather than just talk about it. Let's use the demo. And I'm going to get rid of this GIF and get rid of the Vote 411 widget. So we have a change to the homepage main body content, just the body area. And that is just by removing that. That's the GIF gone. And then within the sidebar content, I'll get rid of that Vote 411 widget. And I'll leave it in draft so we can check that out.
Okay. Well, that makes more sense, because I thought, why? Because Peggy kept saying, well, you have to click publish. And I said, well, can't we look at it first?
Because of there's different parts. So the sidebar.
That's what I'm getting, yeah.
Okay, so the difference here, I removed technically 2 pieces. The GIF that was displaying here in this section, that did, we see the result of that because we have it in draft mode and it was done to the body. But I also removed the code for the widget, the Vote 411 widget. It's still showing up because it's in the sidebar. So what I'm going to do is quickly publish this, and we'll see that without me making any change to the draft, this Vote 411 widget is going to disappear. So through the Moderate tab, I can apply that published state, and it's gone. So let's come back to the home page just to confirm that, you know, we see what we see. It is just pushing through the change that I made previously, just because it is the sidebar. So the easiest way to kind of separate them is looking at the editing form. So any change made, let's see, from the homepage main body content, anything within the body. So from here on up, that is going to be visible in the draft. But any of these collapsed sections, you need to publish in order to see the change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise,
because I want to get the whole picture. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Because then it will lead you down the loop of it's not responding. But yeah, it does need to be published.
You have to fool
any
around.
changes down there.
We did add an event by just what did we do? We basically edited the one that was already there, but somehow we were able to click something about, you know, keeping it, but don't keep it on the front page. So it,
Oh.
so that was good.
If
I'm
you
not sure how
ever,
she did it.
yeah, well, if you don't need to keep a record of past events, then that's definitely the way to do it. Just editing an event.
Well, no, a button that said past events, something like on the event page.
Oh.
Because we wanted people to know what we've been doing, but we didn't want to keep it on the event page per se.
Is it this one here? The view past events button?
Past events, yeah.
Yeah, that's totally up
I don't know
to
how long those stay, but
the past
yeah,
events.
okay.
Yeah,
I
they'll
think that's
stay
a
as
good
long.
idea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you leave them in the system, they're staying there and they'll show up.
Yeah, I see you've got past events for Northwest Wayne County.
Yeah, this was back when we were testing
That's
out your subscription to them, so I have it on the demo
Oh,
site
okay.
still.
Yeah.
Any other questions,
Yeah,
or we can jump into the web form? Yeah, Liz?
well, I had a question about the images you put on a page, and when you put them on the front page, it makes a thumbnail. But if I update the image, it doesn't seem to update the thumbnail on the top page. How can I make it do that?
It may take some time to reflect that change, but if it's taking more than a day or more than, you know, several hours, I would say reach out to us to look into that. If you've replaced the file, that usually takes some time.
Oh, okay. Because I don't
to
see the
avoid,
result.
like
Yeah.
if you wanted to avoid any time in between that where it has to load, you can just upload a new version of the photo and use that one, essentially replace the page where the old version was being used.
So I'm using, it'll have a different name and everything. It'll be the same, well, I'm updating it, so, but it'll have a different name. So it's really trying to bring in a different thing than it before, even though
Essentially, yes.
it's
Yeah, almost like they're
changed.
two separate
So,
files and uploading them that way. Because then from there, if you did want to delete that first version of it that, let's say, you're not making use of, I would say first check out this is just manage my files. Check out this list of your files. There is always that, list of, or a link to where
yeah,
it's being used. And we've seen that already,
okay.
where an image is being used and it may have already been deleted. And it's just sore for those folks who are making use of it. Any other questions, either related to this or before we jump into?
There's one in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yes, thank you. Let me close that out. How did Liz at Wheaton get that top menu in the black bar? It's really slick. How is that created? With the top menu, that is a something that we can take on to put on for you. The only thing that we need from a league before this is to condense down your menu as best as you can. An example, I guess, of a menu that would kind of need some work. Just if you're, well, I don't want to call anybody out. Let's use California here. But we will give you some direct pointers if you're having some difficulty paring the menu options down. But even something like this, the California menu would be too long to fit across one horizontal line. The length is taking into account not only the different number of menu links that you have, but also the length of each one. Like these are, with the spaces and characters, very long. So that might be rearranging the menu, deleting some things, or adding some pages that are going to be top level, and a short word like vote, or we'll help you out if you need some guidance on that. But that's all we ask of you at first, to help us with that. And then once you have a pared down menu, we'll come in and we first swap you to the purple and gold theme, or that's something that your league can actually do too. But once we take care of that, then it's in our hands to swap you to that top menu. So you just make the request of us.
I wouldn't recommend doing it right now in the election season, because
That's a good
you
point.
probably want to put your time into getting content out rather than, I mean, because I made a spreadsheet and reorganized things, and I did have to make new top pages. It was a major effort, but it was worth it. But right now that's not what you want to put your effort into after November. You'll have more time, I would think.
But
Yeah, good point.
Amaris, could you go back up sort of, because on the Wheaton one, she had the top, but then you clicked one of those and then you got a sidebar on the left. So if you on yours right now, if you click one,
yeah, only those that have
so they go there, but on hers they went over on the side.
Well, only when I have child links under the main menu. So
oh, there they showed up now. Okay.
Yes,
So they show up when you, okay, got it.
So, and then the difference here, events doesn't have any children because it doesn't have that caret.
Right.
So it doesn't have that menu.
Oh,
but then positions
it.
has issues as a child.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you.
Getting back to the chat, there is no extra fee for the top menu. All you need to do is reach out to us to get that done. There is a bit of a wait right now for the top menu. We do need to have some content in place on our kind of admin side, and we're still working on those. So as far as just a time wait, it is a little bit extra, more than usual, but you definitely can get it done just by putting the request to us. And then Liz, can you talk a little more about my issue of images disappearing and then reappearing? I unfortunately don't have too much information on that. If it is not related to, you know, what we were discussing earlier of replaced images, then that is something that the tech team is looking into. Since our last call, I've had them try to look into this, but like we said, it has been difficult to try to catch a moment that it is happening. But they are aware of this happening, so any information that they can produce, we'll push back out to y'all.
Are there any like system, logs? Because if it can't find an image that it needs to display, wouldn't the server have some kind of log? I mean, I told you the exact time. Wouldn't there be some kind of log that would say couldn't find this? Or so, I mean, I don't know where these images are being stored, but maybe there's a server that has the images that somehow isn't always up. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. I do. Yeah, I will share that information, the specifics with the team on that ticket. I'm not entirely sure, but I do believe that there should be some kind of record. I don't know how detailed it would be, but we could look back at previous versions of the site. It does happen intermittently where we will kind of take a screenshot, kind of a record of what the site was at that time. But I would have to check in with them to see what they are able to pull from that.
Or maybe it's even a problem with not being able to get it quickly enough. You know, it's displaying the page, but it isn't. It's going off to some server and it's lags in time. Maybe it takes 20 seconds, so it displays you the page without that image.
It could be so, and the time as far as the loading, that is another part of the security updates that we're going to be rolling in for this pre-election season. We're working to try to get these in before we see our increase in traffic on sites, and that those upgrades are going to help with the timing, the load time. And that should affect the load time of the images as well.
It looks like a couple of us are, when you're speaking.
Yeah, I see. I was seeing there's some messages. Yeah. I'm hoping that I'm kind of back up here now. I did see a warning earlier from Zoom that I was having unstable internet.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's getting a little better now here. Well,
maybe the children are in. The load on Zoom is high because kids are in school.
Oh
in
yeah,
California.
I bet.
Zoom's full.
Well, hopefully we'll see a spike here soon. School should be out soon, right?
Well, I don't know what time it is.
Oh well, no, yeah, might be dreaming a little early for the kids.
Of course, it's Friday.
Yeah. While we're kind of still here with a few more minutes left, I wanted to jump back to the demo and show you a form that I had been working on, and we can add to it. It was, well, let's just jump over to it. This web form here, I created as a demo so that I could play around with the conditionals. So this might be, you know, relevant to a lot of you who might gather information from the public. Just because of the way it's built up, I have.
Yeah, we just went through that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a league from Oregon had wanted some kind of example to look at. So I wanted to create something for her that, you know, we could look at. And this is great for our demonstration here too. So this essentially, these sections work kind of the same. I cloned everything from here to here. So let's look at the back end of it and check out the actual form components. The name field is probably what you've seen before, and select options. You know, we've worked with that one before, unless anybody has any questions about this specific form component type. But the biggest differences are the field set. This is the, let's actually open it up in a separate window. So this field set, candidate number 1 questions, is what comes up when I click on candidate 1. And a field set can contain other form components and almost be like a mini form within the form. So just by creating this field set, let's see if I didn't add anything too extravagant. Anytime that you fill out the label, the form key is automatically filled out. I added a description. And then the biggest differences on the display are that it is a collapsible field. And these are things that you can play around with. Because let's actually uncheck all of these and see what it would look like by default in comparison to the other form set. So once you create a form set, or I'm sorry, a field set, then you can drag and drop other form components into it. So just by dragging something underneath it, it should automatically drag to the, or slide to the right. If it doesn't, let's say if it slides in like this, just slide it to the right and save. I won't save that just because that might mess up the form. But the field set contains whatever you put in there, just very similar to your manage menu. And
I'm not quite sure what where you see. I can't see what you mean with that. It's to the right.
Yeah, it is very subtle. I guess the biggest tell. Let's see. When you have one above it that's already to the right, you can tell a little bit more. Yeah. Let's see if I can. Okay, so let's say we're starting out here fresh where none of them are under there.
I see.
Yeah,
I couldn't see that before.
It will slide smoothly. Other times, like when I was moving other ones around, they were jumping and already jumping into that spot without me having to drag it over. But anytime that you make a change there, make sure that you save down at the bottom. So once I had built the field set component, I then created this text area component. Again, simple label, and the form key was filled out by default. Again, I added a description so that people knew what the question was going to be about. And aside from that, again, there was a couple of display options that are different for each form component type. And I made that, this is a default option, so I didn't have to worry about making it resizable, but the description above the field, just to give the instructions first. And after saving that.
How do we know classes?
For
One of those was
classes.
about classes, the
Let me go back.
CSS.
For the CSS, you don't have to worry about unless you know how to write CSS.
But aren't they in the context?
Or know what it is.
I'm sorry?
Isn't it in the context of the CSS of isn't it part of, I mean, you already have classes associated with the look and feel of MyLO. So, I mean, are
yes,
we
this is just optional if you, it's kind of an advanced. Yeah, it is just an option to kind of add more if you so choose, but it is going to have a foundation just by default because of the system. So you can totally leave those blank.
So are we using any of those classes, or are we making all new classes?
You're not worrying about it.
No, yeah, you don't have to fill those out at all.
All right.
And so once you have a field set with like content in there or form components in there, you can clone that entire field set. So let's actually do that. Let's say I'm going to make an option for candidate 3 now. So by cloning, everything comes cloned over. So I need to update the label, the form key, and then any other parts that I might have that were unique to the previous question. And I can go ahead and save unless you needed to make any display changes, but let's save that. So now I should see a candidate 3 field set. It did come along with those text area form components, but now I have to edit those as well because they cloned just the same. So again, just replace everything that hinted to the last question and save component. And then I'll do the same thing for this other question. And save. And from there, let's make sure that I now have that as an option, candidate number 3. And that's just going through the select options, because this is the initial question that the public would get. So just going with what I already have by making the soft key version on the left of that vertical line, and then typing out what the public is going to see as the option for that. And save that. And before I jump out of here, I do need to rearrange this candidate field set or candidate number 3 field set. I want that to be at the very bottom. So as long as that's underneath the questions for candidate 2, I can save. And let's check out the conditionals, because this is what is making the form so short when we initially get to the page. So I have conditions set for each candidate, or candidate 1 and candidate 2 so far. So I'm going to copy essentially that same setup of the condition, of those other conditions. So if which candidate you would like to provide questions for is candidate 3, then candidate 3 questions. The difference here between these, if something shows up just simply like this and is the same with a colon at the end of it, that tells you it's a field set. And then if it is the same title colon with something else, then that tells you this is the contents of that field set. So we want the entire field set to show up. Other options we can set it to are make it required or make it choose a specific answer, but we'll leave that as shown and save that condition. So now I should have the same kind of short form. Anytime that we add to the list here, it should bring up different questions. And just the difference between these now, candidate 2 question section, I left that as a collapsed field. And that was one of the settings in the display. So play around with those. The conditions and display settings are definitely worth playing around with, because the system will tell you if something is not possible. But there's a lot to be done with web forms. You can make them quite advanced.
Amaris, as you would probably surmise from conversations with me, this is like Greek to me, but are you doing this like for the state league?
This form?
Or did somebody ask you to do this? Or,
no,
yeah.
This was just it was a demo. It was a webmaster who needed some assistance with developing a form with conditionals, and so I went through this so that she could have an example.
When you say conditionals, it's kind of like our join renew one. Yeah, but conditionals would be when you have a join one where you're filling out a form. I guess those wouldn't really be conditional, because
well, the conditionals are, that is a tab.
Required stuff, so that's a conditional, I guess.
The conditionals are within this tab here.
Okay. I guess what I was thinking of was, do you have anything, do you ever do generic things that, well, obviously you do, generic things that everybody can add as an option, or just it's in there like a survey, some kind of survey thing that people could just fool with, pretty simple. We use Google survey, but and we could put that on the website, I guess, somehow. But I was just thinking about that people like to use surveys, but
yeah, there isn't any pre-built content. You do have to build it all yourself. Otherwise, you can ask or request of us if you like a web form on another site, we can clone that. But then from there, it would be your league's responsibility to update all of the parts of the web form. So if there's different emails set up, you'd have to change those. If there's specific information to the previous leagues, you have to change all those pieces. So there's some give and take with both.
So if just on that note, so if we did see something we liked, I mean, is that something we would ask you about, and then you would say, yeah, I need to charge you, or yeah, this is what we can do, but then you got to do all this other back end stuff, or how's that work?
All we need from you is copying the URL that's here at the top. As long as you copy that and send it to us, then we can come in and we'll have this link that says clone this web form, and we can then clone it to your league. So we just need this URL and your league's name, so we know where to clone it to.
Oh, and then that's what you meant was, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, and then you said now, but of course you got to go in and fix it for your own. Do a lot
Mhm.
of leagues do that?
Not a lot, but we do get leagues who request that. It makes things a lot easier just because the form components and the conditionals are already, well, I mean, everything is in place, but the form components and the conditionals sometimes are the most tedious to set up. So it's nice to have them already kind of made and there. The biggest parts, emails are kind of the first place you want to make sure that you change, just in case if somebody is submitting, we see that where a league is getting a wrong email, and it's something just from my own experience, I could tell that it was a cloned form. So updating the emails tab is kind of one of the big things. From there, probably the draft itself, and the form components. Anywhere that you see the league's name, you'll want to update all those parts.
Well, of the ones that have been asked for, are there any ones that seem kind of popular?
Of one that I can just think of, LWV Chicago had a couple of them that one league not too long ago was requesting some clones for, or from. There were actually, I think, most of these, the join or renew and donate. Let's actually see if they have a form. It looks like this is that's separate from their MyLO site, so that's not a MyLO form.
Oh,
But let's see if their donate page. Okay, yeah, here's one. Yeah, this is one of those forms that a league recently requested.
huh.
And I think the volunteer, let's see. Okay, this is not the form I thought, but let's see. As far as getting more info, okay, this was one that I didn't get a request for cloning, but I thought was really, they did a really cool job as far as having kind of a landing page for their volunteer info, and then all of the
Oh,
get more info links will lead to a separate form. So I'm imagining on the back end of this form, they probably have this leading to their volunteer at lwvchicago.org email. But definitely more robust.
wow.
But yeah, another option that you can, make use of the forms in another way.
Wow, so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for coming. This was another
Oops, is
awesome
that
session.
or after one?
Yeah, and I'll be like I said, I'll be updating in the Google group, so for our next one, and hoping to get this recording into our go-to webinar channel as soon as I can.
Okay, and then do you also make an announcement about that to say, hey, I did it, so if you want to go there, so that we don't have to keep looking?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
I'll rope that announcement in with the
Yeah,
one for
that's
next
good.
session.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all. All
Bye,
righty.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.